Deep beneath Alexandria's ruins, an AI scan cut through layers of forgotten history, and what appeared on the monitor drained the color from every scientist's face. The lost tomb of Alexander the Great, once thought to be legend, was real, but something inside it defied explanation. The readings showed movement where there should be none, and as the team stared in silence, one chilling thought filled the air: it wasn't empty. The Conqueror's final wish. In the last days of his life, Alexander the Great lay inside the magnificent palace of Nebuchadnezzar II in Babylon. The air was heavy and silent. Outside, his soldiers stood in long lines waiting for news of their leader. For more than a decade, they had followed him across deserts, rivers, and mountains. They had seen him defeat kings, build cities, and crown himself a god. Now, the man who had never lost a battle could not win his final fight, the one against death. Alexander's rise had been like lightning. Born in 356 BC in Pella, Macedonia, he was destined for greatness. His father, King Philip II, was a master strategist who dreamed of conquering the Persian Empire. His mother, Queen Olympias, told him from childhood that he was no ordinary boy, that he was descended from Achilles and the gods themselves. At the age of 13, he was taught by Aristotle, the greatest philosopher of his time. Under his guidance, Alexander learned about science, geography, and philosophy, but he also developed a deep curiosity about the world and its secrets. When his father was assassinated, the 20-year-old Alexander inherited a powerful but restless kingdom. Instead of being crushed by the weight of the crown, he used it as fuel. Within a few years, he had unified Greece, crossed into Asia, and began to strike at the mighty Persian Empire. One by one, its cities fell before his army. At Granicus, Issus, and Gaugamela, he proved to the world that he was not just a warrior, he was a living legend. But Alexander's conquests were not only about power. Deep inside, he wanted to become more than human. In Egypt, he visited the Siwa oasis, where priests of the god Ammon greeted him as the son of Zeus Ammon. That moment changed him forever. He no longer saw himself as the son of Philip, but as the child of a god destined for immortality. So when he spoke of his burial, he made a strange and sacred request. He wanted to rest as the son of Zeus Ammon, not beside his mortal father in Macedonia. After a night of fever and pain in Babylon, Alexander whispered his last words to his generals. He asked them to meet him in the afterlife as good and valiant men. Within hours, the conqueror of the world was gone. His death shocked every corner of his empire. But the true mystery began afterwards, when his generals started fighting over his body. His golden coffin, said to be filled with honey to preserve his remains, was prepared for transport to the Siwa oasis in Egypt. But before it reached its destination, something unexpected happened. The funeral procession was intercepted in Syria by his general Ptolemy the Erger Soter. With quiet determination, Ptolemy took control of the body and changed its course forever. Instead of Siwa, the coffin was secretly carried to Egypt, beginning a new chapter of mystery and betrayal. What Ptolemy did next would shape centuries of legend. The tomb's journey had only begun, and soon it would cross empires, vanish beneath cities, and leave behind the greatest archaeological riddle of all time: the tomb that moved across empires.
Happy Papa Costa is hunting for the lost tomb of Alexander the Great.
Finding the tomb of Alexander is the dream of every archaeologist.
When Ptolemy seized Alexander's body, he knew exactly what he was doing. Controlling the conqueror's remains meant controlling his legacy. Whoever possessed the body of Alexander the Great could claim divine authority over his vast empire. So instead of sending the golden coffin toward Siwa Oasis as planned, Ptolemy diverted the entire funeral procession south into Egypt. The decision changed history. The golden casket carrying Alexander's mummified body arrived first in Memphis, Egypt's ancient capital and the heart of Ptolemy's new kingdom. Memphis was already filled with temples and sacred monuments, and placing Alexander there made political sense. The people saw it as the resting place of a god. Visitors from across the empire came to offer gifts, seeking blessings from the man who had once ruled the known world. But Ptolemy was ambitious. He wanted a tomb fit for a god, not just a king. So years later, Alexander's body was moved again, this time to Alexandria, the great city Alexander himself had founded on the edge of the Mediterranean. By then, the city had grown into a symbol of knowledge and power. Greek scholars, Egyptian priests, and travelers from across continents called it home. In the heart of this city, Ptolemy's descendants built a grand mausoleum. The ancient geographer Strabo later described it as the Soma, a name that simply means body. It was said to be a place of dazzling beauty, columns carved from marble, walls covered with gold and jewels, and torches that burned night and day around the conqueror's coffin. The tomb became a sacred center for the new cult of Alexander. The Ptolemies, who ruled Egypt for generations, used it as a symbol of divine legitimacy. They claimed to rule as the heirs of Alexander's spirit. For centuries, foreign leaders came to pay tribute. Julius Caesar is said to have visited the tomb, gazing upon Alexander's body in awe. Later, when Cleopatra ruled Egypt, she too saw herself as the descendant of this divine warrior. The tomb of Alexander stood as a reminder that power was eternal, or so everyone believed. Then, as time passed, history began to turn against it. Earthquakes shook the ground beneath Alexandria. Fires destroyed temples and libraries. The city's coastline changed as the sea swallowed entire neighborhoods. By the time of the Roman Empire's decline, even the location of Alexander's tomb had become uncertain. People spoke of it in whispers, arguing over whether it was buried under the city, lost beneath the waves, or destroyed by invaders. Modern historians estimate that more than 140 official expeditions have searched for the tomb in and around Alexandria. Archaeologists from France, Greece, and Egypt have spent lifetimes digging beneath the modern city, where layers of streets, homes, and ruins lie on top of one another. Yet no one has found definitive proof of the Soma. For 2,000 years, the tomb of Alexander remained hidden beneath sand and sea. Then a determined Greek archaeologist decided she would be the one to find it, and her discoveries would shake the world. The woman who dared to dig.
Over 20 feet below the surface, her team finds gleaming Greek marble in the muddy soil.
I saw the face of Alexander the Great. It was an amazing moment.
Most archaeologists had long given up hope of finding the tomb. The city had been rebuilt countless times, its ancient layers buried under centuries of stone and concrete. But one woman refused to surrender to doubt. Her name was Calliope Limnaeus Papacosta, and for her, finding Alexander's tomb was not just an academic mission, it was a calling. Papacosta, a Greek archaeologist with a calm but fierce determination, had spent more than 20 years digging beneath Alexandria. She was the founder and director of the Hellenic Institute for the Research of Alexandrian Civilization, and her team worked in one of the most difficult archaeological sites on Earth, the Salalot Gardens, near the city's center. Beneath this public park, she believed, lay the remnants of the ancient royal quarter of Alexandria, the area where the Soma, Alexander's tomb, was said to have stood. The city's water table was high, and every dig filled quickly with groundwater. Heavy machinery could not be used because of the modern buildings above, so Papacosta's team used hand tools, pumps, and sheer endurance. Day after day, they battled mud and exhaustion, removing centuries of debris, hoping to catch even a glimpse of Hellenistic marble or ancient stone. In 2015, their patience finally paid off. At a depth of 10 meters, they uncovered a massive public structure dating back to the Ptolemaic period, precisely the era of Alexander's successors. The structure had carved tunnels and massive stone foundations. It wasn't just another ruin, it was part of the royal district. This discovery strengthened Papacosta's belief that she was digging in the right place. Then came the moment that made headlines around the world. One morning, as the team carefully cleared the sand and debris, something white shimmered under the light. Slowly, a marble statue began to emerge. When the dirt was finally brushed away, they saw the familiar tilted head and youthful features. It was unmistakably the face of Alexander the Great. Papacosta stood silently before the statue. Later, she described the experience. The statue revealed itself to me, offering its hand. I prayed to God to see the way the hand turned to know if it carried a spear. That would prove it was Alexandros, the great spear bearer. The statue was sculpted in the same style used by Lysippos, Alexander's personal sculptor, famous for capturing the ruler's divine expression and downward gaze, a gesture said to mimic how Alexander once looked toward Zeus while saying, "I belong to the earth, you take care of Olympus." The statue was carefully lifted and later placed in the National Museum of Alexandria, where it stands today, a silent witness to one woman's unyielding faith in history. But for Papacosta, the statue was not the end. It was a message, a sign that she was standing on sacred ground, perhaps just meters above the tomb itself. Encouraged by her discovery, Papacosta sought help from new technology to see what the human eye could not. Soon the ground beneath Alexandria would reveal even deeper secrets, and the world would watch in disbelief. The discovery that stunned the world. To take her search deeper, Papacosta partnered with the National Geographic Society, which provided her team with advanced technology to scan beneath the surface without destroying it. They used electrical resistivity tomography, a system that sends electrical currents into the ground to detect buried chambers, walls, and objects. It was like giving the Earth an X-ray. The scans revealed something astonishing: multiple anomalies deep beneath the site. The shapes and densities of these underground structures were unlike ordinary foundations. Some appeared to be long corridors, others like chambers or vaults. For Papacosta, it was clear. She was standing above the ancient royal quarters of Alexandria, where Alexander himself was once buried according to ancient records. Excitement spread through the archaeological community. Historians revisited old writings from Strabo and Plutarch, both of whom described the location of Alexander's tomb in the heart of Alexandria. These accounts mentioned a shining golden coffin, a marble mausoleum, and pilgrims who came to pay homage for centuries. Papacosta's site matched the descriptions with uncanny accuracy. In the following excavation seasons, her team uncovered parts of the massive Ptolemaic foundations, built with limestone blocks so large that they could only have belonged to monumental architecture. The soil revealed shards of ancient pottery, bronze fragments, and pieces of decorated stone, all from the Hellenistic period. It was the strongest evidence ever found that this was the city's lost royal district. Then came another remarkable find: a fragment of a statue's foot carved in the same style as classical Greek art from Alexander's era. The discovery added more weight to the belief that this was not an ordinary public space. Some experts speculated that the statue might have once stood near the entrance of the royal tomb itself. Papacosta remained cautious but hopeful. "Every stone we uncover is a new clue," she told reporters. "This is not just a dig. It's a conversation with history." She worked with patience, guided by both data and intuition. However, not everyone agreed with her theory. Some scholars believed that Alexander's tomb could not be in Alexandria at all. They pointed instead to Amphipolis, a site in northern Greece where a mysterious and massive tomb had been discovered in 2012. That discovery had stunned the world with its size and beauty, and it shared many connections to Alexander's era. While Papacosta dug beneath Alexandria's modern gardens, another group of archaeologists in Greece opened the gates of a colossal tomb guarded by sphinxes. What they found inside would rewrite everything historians thought they knew about Alexander's final resting place. The Casta Tomb Enigma. It was February 12 when the first signs appeared, a strange circular mound hidden beneath layers of earth and vegetation. At first glance, it looked like a simple hill, but as the team dug deeper, they realized it was no ordinary site. What they had discovered was a massive burial complex, one unlike anything ever found in Greece. Led by archaeologist Katerina Peristeri, the team soon revealed a monumental wall made of white marble from the island of Thasos. The wall stretched nearly 500 meters in circumference, forming a perfect circle around the mound. Its sheer size suggested that whoever was buried inside was no common figure. This tomb was built for royalty, perhaps even divinity. When the entrance was finally uncovered, it left the world in awe. Two magnificent sphinxes stood guard, their wings spread wide as if protecting whoever rested beyond. Their eyes, now worn by time, once stared fiercely toward the horizon. Beyond them lay a path that led into the tomb's mysterious interior. Inside the passage, the team encountered two beautifully carved caryatids, female statues that seemed almost alive, each raising an arm as if to ward off intruders. Their expressions were calm, but powerful, as if they were silently defending a sacred secret. The deeper the archaeologists ventured, the more magnificent the structure became. At the heart of the tomb lay a mosaic floor made of tiny colored stones depicting a haunting scene, the abduction of Persephone by Hades, the god of the underworld. The symbolism was unmistakable. It represented the journey from life to death, from earth to the divine. It was a powerful message, one that fit perfectly with the legend of Alexander, the man who believed he was the son of Zeus and sought immortality beyond mortal limits. Then, in the innermost chamber, the team made a shocking discovery. They found the remains of 5 individuals, 2 men, a woman over 60, a newborn child, and a person whose bones had been cremated. Alongside them were pieces of a wooden coffin, gold ornaments, coins, and fragments of armor. Experts around the world debated furiously. Who were these people? Some believed the elderly woman could be Olympias, Alexander's mother, a figure known for her power and ambition. Others thought it might be Roxana, his wife, or even one of his loyal generals. The timing fit perfectly late 4th century BCE, exactly the period of Alexander's death. The tomb was grand enough for a king, but mysterious enough to confuse even the most experienced scholars. The symbols carved into the walls, suns, shields, and Macedonian crests, all pointed toward the royal family of Alexander the Great, and yet there was no direct proof that the conqueror himself had ever rested there. Still, whispers began to spread through the archaeological world. Could this be Alexander's true tomb, or was it built as a shrine to honor him, a place for those closest to him to rest beside the image of their divine leader? The Costa tomb, as it became known, raised more questions than it answered. It told a story of royal blood, grief, and power. But just when researchers thought they had reached the heart of the mystery, new discoveries in Macedonia revealed another hidden secret, one that might lead even closer to the truth. Deep in the ancient city of Vergina, archaeologists opened a chamber filled with gold, weapons, and royal treasures. What they found inside would reignite the debate and perhaps reveal where Alexander's journey truly ended. Secrets of the Macedonian tombs. This discovery began decades ago when archaeologists exploring a series of burial mounds stumbled upon a magnificent underground complex. As they carefully cleared away the soil, they stepped into a tomb that seemed frozen in time. Inside were treasures so stunning that even seasoned researchers could barely speak. There were golden wreaths shaped like leaves of oak and myrtle, finely crafted armor, silver vessels, and ceremonial weapons. In the main chamber stood a marble sarcophagus containing a gold chest, and inside that chest lay cremated remains. The bones were wrapped in purple cloth, the color of royalty. Near them rested a golden scepter, a pair of ornate greaves, and a shield marked with the 16-ray sun, the symbol of the Macedonian dynasty. Most historians agreed that this was the tomb of King Philip II, the father of Alexander the Great. The discovery was monumental, confirming much of what ancient records had described about the royal burial customs of Macedonia. But not far from Philip's tomb lay another chamber, smaller, simpler, yet strangely powerful. It contained another gold chest, this one holding the remains of a woman. Some believed she was Cleopatra Eurydice, Philip's last wife. Others thought she might have been a noble from Alexander's court. The walls of both tombs were decorated with vivid paintings, hunting scenes, mythological stories, and celestial symbols. Among them was a striking lion hunt, believed to represent the bravery of both Philip and Alexander. The attention to divine imagery was impossible to ignore. Rosettes, suns, stars, and shields filled the tombs, as though the builders wanted to remind anyone who entered that these were not ordinary mortals, but people touched by gods. However, as researchers studied the tombs, they began to notice strange details. Some architectural features resembled those used in shrines rather than burial chambers. Offerings of wine and oil had been made here long after the original burials. It was as if these tombs had become sacred pilgrimage sites, places where followers came to honor not only Philip, but perhaps also Alexander himself. This led to a bold new theory. What if Alexander's true tomb was never meant to be in one place? Perhaps there were multiple sites, one for his body, one for his spirit, and others for his worship. The royal necropolis in Vergina might have held relics, symbols, or even ashes associated with him. Some experts even suggested that the simpler looted tomb nearby, decorated with a painting of Persephone's abduction, could have once contained his remains. The image of Persephone being carried into the underworld echoed the belief that Alexander had crossed into divinity after death. No one could prove it, yet the clues kept multiplying. Each tomb, each painting, each artifact seemed to whisper that Alexander's story did not end in Babylon or even Alexandria. It continued in secret, scattered across the lands he had once ruled. Now, scientists were preparing to use AI to scan the ground, analyze ruins, and decode ancient clues hidden in digital layers of soil and text. Could this new power finally reveal where Alexander the Great truly rests? How artificial intelligence has revealed hidden secrets. As the search for Alexander's tomb entered the 21st century, a new kind of explorer joined the quest, not one who wielded a shovel, but one powered by data and algorithms. Artificial intelligence, once a concept for science fiction, had become archaeology's newest and most powerful tool. What human eyes had missed for centuries, AI could now uncover with a precision no human mind could match. In Alexandria, Calliope Papacosta and her team began collaborating with scientists who specialized in digital archaeology. They used ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography, a technology that maps what lies beneath the earth by reading electrical signals. But this time, the data collected from the sensors was fed into AI models trained to recognize shapes and densities of ancient structures. These systems could detect hidden chambers, buried walls, and even tunnels that blended with natural rock. Soon, the machines began to highlight areas beneath the Salalot gardens that looked anything but natural. The algorithms identified unusual rectangular voids deep underground, formations that might once have been chambers or corridors. To the naked eye, it was just soil and stone, but to AI, it was a pattern, one that echoed the architectural style of Hellenistic tombs. At the same time, in laboratories across Europe, another group of scientists used AI-driven analysis to study ancient texts. Thousands of writings from historians like Strabo, Diodorus, and Plutarch were scanned and processed using natural language algorithms. These programs searched for subtle patterns, mentions of landmarks, distances, and directions that earlier scholars might have overlooked. The results revealed new interpretations of ancient routes and city layouts, some of which pointed directly toward the area where Papacosta was digging. AI also began to assist in satellite archaeology. By studying images from orbit, the systems could detect faint traces of man-made geometry, old riverbeds, submerged walls, and faint outlines of lost buildings beneath Alexandria's modern sprawl. In one stunning case, AI reconstructed a digital model of the ancient city's coastline, showing how much land had sunk into the sea over centuries of earthquakes and floods. What appeared to be just ocean on today's map could, in fact, be where Alexander's mausoleum once stood. AI was not only revealing the ground's hidden secrets, but also giving archaeologists the ability to recreate ancient worlds. With digital 3D reconstructions, scientists could now simulate what Alexander's tomb might have looked like. Its chambers filled with light, its walls engraved with gold, its statue of the conqueror gazing down as worshippers approached. And yet, for all its brilliance, AI could only guide the way. The final revelation, the physical tomb itself, still waited for human hands to uncover it. The algorithms had narrowed the search to specific coordinates beneath Alexandria, but the last step would depend on courage, patience, and belief, the same qualities that had driven Papacosta and generations of seekers before her. And perhaps soon, the screens will flicker with one final signal, a faint outline glowing beneath the earth, and the world will witness what no one has seen for thousands of years, the tomb of Alexander the Great, opening at last. What do you think? Are we finally on the brink of uncovering Alexander the Great's lost tomb, or will this mystery remain buried forever? Share your thoughts in the comments below.